Okay, good day students. As promised, here is part 2 of your EAPP review video. For this video, we will be focusing on citing sources and the format of the different citation types. So to begin, here are the points for discussion in this lesson. First, we will have the definition of citations. Second, we will have the different types of citations. And last but not the least, the format of the different citation types. So what are citations? Citations are commonly known as acknowledgements to the original authors of the material or the source that you have borrowed and incorporated in your text. Now, these citations are incorporated in order for us to avoid plagiarism, which we know is quite a severe offense, especially in the academic field. So, what are the two types of citations? Now, there are two types, and we begin with in-text citations. Now, these are citations which indicate that the acknowledgement of the source is placed as part of the text. So, simply said, these are citations that are found inside your paragraphs or inside your actual research paper. And the second type is the reference citation, and this type of citation contains all the bibliographic entries of that borrowed source, and they are placed in a different section of your academic paper. Now, these are some things to take note when talking about in-text and reference citations. First of all, they are both citations, but they do have differences. Okay, they have two main differences. The first one is content, and the second one is the location. Now, in terms of content, they are different because reference citations are more complete, or actually they're the only ones that are complete, while the in-text citations are quite limited in terms of the bibliographic content. Now, why do I say this? Because reference citations contain all bibliographic details such as an author's surname, the initials, the date of publishing, the book title, the page numbers, the journal titles, the journal name, the URL, etc., etc. While in-text citations are quite limited because they only contain about 2 or 3 entries. Okay, what are those entries? Well, commonly, they contain the author's surname, the year or the date, and in some cases, they also include either the page number or the paragraph number. Now, in terms of location, they are also different because, as previously mentioned, in-text citations are found inside the paragraphs, inside the actual text, while reference citations are separate from your text, and they are placed under a specific section, usually called the bibliography or the references. Okay, now with that discussed, let's now move on to the format of the different citation types. Okay, so first of all, we'll focus only on these 4 materials because these are the 4 materials which are commonly cited, especially when writing your high school research papers or your academic texts in high school. And these materials are the following. We have books, journals, websites, and periodicals. And by periodicals, I mean newspapers and magazines. Okay, so we begin with the in-text citation format. Now, as you can see, there are 2 types of in-text citations. We have parenthetical citation and the narrative citation. What's the difference? When we say parenthetical citation, this is when the surname and the date are found inside the parentheses. Parenthetical citations are usually found at the end of a statement. Okay. However, narrative citations are quite different in terms of its structure because narrative citations only place the year inside the parentheses, and the author's surname is usually found outside the parentheses. And narrative citations are more direct. Okay, they are used for more direct statements rather than parenthetical citations. But both can be used in your academic papers. However, it would be best to use them in or alternatively. Okay, so you don't just use one type of in-text citation all throughout your paper. Instead, the alternate use of these two types would be best, so as to provide a little bit of variety in terms of the tone of your paragraphs. Okay, so in terms of the format, the only thing that they have in terms of difference would be the location of the author's surname. Okay, in parenthetical citations, the surname of the author and the year are found inside the parentheses, while in the narrative citation, the author's surname is found outside of the parentheses. Now, just a few points that we have to remember. These are minor details but are very, very important. First, when you are citing two authors, okay, in the parenthetical citation, you have to use the ampersand symbol. Okay, the ampersand symbol is the symbol for and. Now, in the narrative citation, when the surname is outside of the parentheses, you do not use the ampersand symbol. Instead, you spell out the word and, E-A-N-D. Okay. When citing three or more authors, you have to directly use the terms et al. Okay, among others, or and others, and they are terminated by a period. So et al. Period, and then the year. Now, for groups with abbreviations under parenthetical citation, when you cite the material for the first time, then you have to spell out the abbreviation. Okay, for example, if it's pag-asa, then you have to spell out what pag-asa means. Or in this case, it's APA. APA spells out American Psychological Association. So it was spelled out in the first citation. However, in the subsequent citations, or the second and third time that you cite the same source, then it can be or the use of the abbreviation is already allowed. Okay, no need to spell it out each and every time. In the narrative citation, you only remove the spelled out version. However, the abbreviated version is still retained inside the parenthesis when the material is cited for the first time. However, in the subsequent citation, you remove the spelled out version, and then you take out the abbreviation from inside the parentheses, and then you place it outside. So it's APA, open parenthesis, 2020, close parenthesis. Now, for groups, or for group authors or institutional authors without an abbreviation, such as school names, then you have to spell out the name of that institution. You cannot abbreviate it. For materials with no authors, it is highly discouraged. You are never allowed to use the word anonymous. Instead, you have to use an abbreviated version of the book title, of the journal title, or of the magazine article or newspaper article that you used as your source. Okay, so in this case, the abbreviated version of the title is new drug, placed inside quotation marks and then terminated by a comma. So quotation mark, new drug, closed quotations, then comma, 1993. For narrative citation, there is no format because we cannot use the title of the abbreviated title of your material as a narrative citation, because titles cannot tell a story, cannot make a statement. That is what a narrative citation is. We cite the statement. So because we cannot, or because the title cannot speak, then there is no narrative citation format for the article with no author. Okay, now let's proceed to reference citations. This one is quite lengthy, and we begin with books, okay, both printed and ebooks. So the general format for a reference citation for books would be the surname of the author, comma, the initial of the first name or names, period, the year of publication, enclosed in parentheses, period, the title of the book, which is italicized and is in sentence case, period, and then the publisher, then period. As you can observe, the different parts of the citation or the different bibliographic entries are terminated using the period, and you must always remember that. To separate the entries, use a period. So let's go to the examples. Okay, so for books written by a single author, okay, as you can see, it's author's last name and then first and middle initial, so Kimmel, the surname, comma, the initials of the first name and the middle initial, MS, period, the year of publication, enclosed in parentheses, period, the title of the book, italicized and in sentence case, which means only the first letter of the first word is capitalized except for proper nouns, and then terminated by another period, and then lastly you have the publisher name, then period. Okay, so that's the general format. However, for books with two or more authors, actually just two authors really, you can have the same format, the author's surname, comma, the initials, period, and then comma again, and then the ampersand symbol. As you can see, there's the ampersand symbol, Defonso N ampersand, and then Bordia P, which means that there are two authors for this book. Now after Bordia P, there's a period, and then the year of publication, which is 2007, enclosed in parentheses, terminated by a period, and then the title of the book, Rumor, Psychology, Social and Organizational Approaches. As you can see, it is also in sentence case. Now you might be asking why the S in social is capitalized. It is because it is the start of a new statement, as terminated by the colon after psychology. Now, the title is terminated by a period, and then the publisher is the American Psychological Association, and then terminated by a period once more. Now, for a corporate group or author, okay, if the book was written by an association or a group of people, then the name or the authors will be the name of the association, which is the American Sociological Association. You don't put the abbreviation, you spell it out. Okay, and then period, then the same concept, the year inside parentheses, period, the title of the book, period, and so on and so forth. Okay, now for edited books, although this one is not really applicable in many occasions, but it is worth mentioning. So for edited books, if it was edited by another person, then you mention the editor, you mention the author of the book, Rodewald, comma F, and then place edited. Okay, it was edited by another person, and then the same format for the other parts. Now for books with no authors or no discernible authors, then you have to use the title of the book as the author. Okay, so the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, and because this is the book title, it has to be italicized and must be in sentence case, then terminated by a period, then the year of publication inside the parentheses, period, and then the publisher of the book, which is the U.S. Catholic Conference Division of Latin America. Okay, now for ebooks, okay, the ones we discussed earlier were for printed books. For ebooks, usually ebooks have a DOI. What does a DOI stand for? DOI stands for Digital Object Identifier, which is more like a license plate for your ebooks or your e-journals. Okay, now, in the case of ebooks, if the DOI is indicated in the book, then you place the DOI after the publisher. Make sure to remove the hyperlink. Okay, so it's Gilliam T 2018 Creativity, Wellbeing and Mental Health Practice period, Wiley Blackwell period, and then the DOI. However, if the DOI is not found or cannot be located, then you cite the book, the ebook, as a printed book. Okay, so author surname, and then the year, the title of the book, and then the publisher. However, if the book comes from a website, then you have to mention the URL of the website. You have to place the URL right after the name of the website. So it's author, year, the name of the book, the name of the website, and then the URL. Okay, now things to take note. In citing books, remember that the title of the book is italicized and is in sentence case, which means only the first letter of the first word is capitalized, except for proper nouns or for words that follow a colon. So after the colon, the first letter of the word immediately after the colon is also capitalized. Okay, now let's proceed to journals. So for journals, we are also going to discuss both printed and e-journals. So the general format is this: the surname, the initial, the date, the article title, followed by the journal name, the volume number, the issue number, comma, then the page numbers. Okay, so you can see that in the examples that I will be giving you in the next slide. So the exception is this: when the journal is published online, then the DOI or the URL should be included as well, just like in the ebooks. So as an example, here is a journal citation. Okay, so the author's last name and initials, followed by the year of publication, and then the article title, followed by the journal title, the volume number, the issue number inside the parentheses, and then the page numbers follow the issue number. Okay, so as you can see, the bibliographic entries are still terminated by the use of a period. So the author's last name and initials, period, the year of publication, period, the article title, period, the journal title, comma, the volume, issue, and page numbers, and then period. Now you might be asking why the volume, issue, and page numbers are not introduced by a period. Why didn't we place a period after the journal title? Well, because the volume, issue, and page numbers are still part of the journal title's bibliographic entry. So we separate those details not by a comma, but by not by a period, but by the use of a comma. So after the page number, it is a period, and then we place the digital object identifier or the DOI. However, if the DOI is not located, or if it is not stated in the document, then you can merely stop with the page numbers if the DOI is not included. Now, for 2 or more authors or up to 20 authors, then make sure to use the ampersand. So mention for 2 authors, you can have Klimonski and Palmer, ampersand Palmer. But when there are 20 authors in your journal, okay, you still have to write all 20 names. But when you exceed 20 authors, say there are 21 authors of a journal, then you mention the first 19 authors, and then insert an ellipsis. An ellipsis is the 3 dots. Okay, so after the 19th author, surname, initial, period, comma, ellipsis, and then you place the name of the last author, or the surname and the initials of the last author. So you're going to skip author number 20. So list down all 19 names, skip the 20th name, and then mention the 21st. And then the rest of the format will be the same. For the year, the journal title, the name of the journal, and the volume, issue, and page numbers. Now you might be asking, what's the difference between the journal title and the journal name? Well, the journal title is more like the title of the article written under that journal. And the journal name is the name of the society, the organization, or the group, or the school that published the journal. Okay, so think of the journal name as the publisher, and think of the journal title as an article title, or a book title, something like that. So take note that in citing journals, the name of the journal is italicized, while the title of the journal is not. Remember, the name of the journal is italicized, but the title is not. Just like here. So you can see the name of the journal, or the title of the journal, the ADA and the hiring process in organizations, is not italicized. Instead, it is the journal title, Consulting Psychology Journal, Practice and Research. That is the one that is italicized. You don't have to put it in sentence case, but the journal title is usually in proper noun format. So the first letters are capitalized, except for conjunctions and other determiners. Okay, so the journal title, capitalize the first letters of the words except for conjunctions and other determiners, but for the article title, it must be in sentence case. So only the first letter of the first word is capitalized except for proper nouns. So number 2, in citing journals, again, the title of the article is in sentence case. Okay, so don't forget. And the journal's name is not in sentence case. So you can capitalize the first letters, but disregard the capitalization of the non-content words, or the determiners and the conjunctions. So third, we have websites or online sources. Okay, so for the general format would be the author's surname, comma, the full first name. Okay, so you don't just extract the initial. Instead, you go for the full first name, and then the date, the title of the article, the website name, and then finally you have the URL. Again, terminated by the use of periods. So to provide an example, here is one. You have Sparks, comma, Dana. Again, as you can see, the name Dana is spelled out, and we did not use the initial D. Okay, so Sparks, Dana, and you don't just get the year. Instead, it is best if you could locate the specific date when that online article was written. You might be asking, what happens if the specific date is not indicated? Then you just go for the year when it was written. But if the specific date is located or indicated, then you have to place the complete date in this order: the year first, comma, the month, then the day. Now you place them inside parentheses and then period. It is followed by the title, again in italics and in sentence case, followed by the website in proper name format, or proper noun format, and then followed by the URL. Okay, so the URL is the entire thing in the search bar of your browser. So you copy paste the whole thing. Now for websites which are written by for website articles written by organizations, okay, so there is no specific author, then you use the name of the organization as your author's name. Okay, so National Institutes of Mental Health. Again, we do not abbreviate. You use the same format for the date. It's year, comma, month, day. Without the specific dates, then you can just use the year. When the author and the name of the website are the same, then you do not need to list it as the name of the website. So, for example, you are using the website of the Department of Agriculture, then you do not need to place the name Department of Agriculture under the website name because it is already mentioned as the name of the author. Okay, so if the organization name is placed as the author, then you no longer need to mention it again as the name of the website. So what happens if the website has no author and does not contain a date? Okay, so no specific date was mentioned. Then you go for the title of the article as the author. So in this case, what is psychology? And then ND for no date. Okay, so after which you place the name of the website. You already delete the name of the title of the article because it was used as your author's name. Okay, so just the name of the website and then followed by the URL. Now you might be asking, sir, what happened with the retrieval dates? Now, you only include a retrieval date if the information on the page is designed to change over time. For example, if there are updates like announcements under Pag-asa, Fevokes, or DOST are bound to change over time, and as such, you have to specifically mention the date of retrieval. The date of retrieval is the date when you access the information found in that website. Okay, so things to remember when citing websites. The title of the online article is italicized, again in sentence case. Okay, so the title of the article found in that website is the one that you italicize, not the name of the website. Okay, finally we have periodicals. Okay, periodicals are magazines and newspapers. Okay, so trivia, it is wrong to say periodical exam because it is not a newspaper exam. Instead, you say periodic exam. Periodicals periodicals refer to magazines and newspapers. So the general format would be the author's surname, comma, and the initial of the author, followed by the date. Again, it's a date because not just a year, because we have to look at the specific date of publishing because these are newspapers and magazines, which means they publish multiple issues over a course of time. So followed by the article title, then the name of the periodical or the URL of the online version or the website of that periodical. So as an example, here is one for the newspaper article. So when you are citing newspaper articles, you begin with the author's last name and then the initial of the first name and then the publication date. When was that article published in the newspaper? And then followed by the article title. Okay, but in this case, the article title is not italicized, but it is still in sentence case. And then finally, we have the name of the periodical or the newspaper name, and that is the one that you need to italicize. Now, if you are getting the article from an online version of that newspaper, then you remove the author's name if the author's name is not mentioned. Okay, so this is a website with no author. If there are no authors, then you mention the title of the article, followed by the date, followed by the name of the periodical, and then the URL of the online version or the website. Now, if it's print, okay, so you go for the same format, but you're going to include the page number where you can find the specific story. Okay, so as you can see, after New York Times, there is the inclusion of page 17. Okay, for magazine articles, on the other hand, the format is still the same. However, there might be the inclusion of specific volumes and issue numbers and page numbers because there are multiple articles found inside magazines. Okay, so it's the same. It's the author, surname, and the initial, followed by the date of publication, followed by the name or the title of the article, and then the periodical in italics, and then the volume number, the issue number, and the page numbers where the article may be located. If it's a website, then all you need to do is change the volume, issue, and page numbers into the URL, again signified or terminated by a comma. Okay, so things to remember when citing periodicals. What is italicized would be the name of the periodical, not the title of the article. Okay, so the title of the article is in sentence case but not italicized. The name of the periodical is in proper noun format and is italicized. Right. So that ends the discussion for the citation of sources, and that marks the end of your EAPP review video part 2. So should you have any questions, please feel free to send me a message so that I can address your concerns immediately. This is Sir Dardar saying thank you very much for watching. Have a wonderful day ahead.